Five Nights at Freddy's has had a lot of theories, some that are no longer true. So out of all the past series, what is the worst one? What is the most hated one? A lot of theories go under the radar, but as we're about to cover, some start controversy, especially through TikTok, creating a situation full of misinformation. Also, this video has a very special guest who brought a very controversial FNAF theory, and you don't want to miss out. There's probably a good chance you haven't even heard of some of these, but maybe you've heard of this one. I'm talking about a theory that resurfaced on TikTok where Bonnie broke William Afton's jaw. My name's Arcade, and this is Theory Review. So for context, this theory explains that the kid that became Bonnie, Jeremy, went down fighting, and this is why he's the most aggressive one in the game, and that is all the evidence. But it was definitely enough to start some heated arguments. I feel like due to the limited information about the characters in FNAF, people are forced to fill in the blanks. And while that could lead to theorizing and whole careers like MatPat from game theory, it could also lead to people making stuff up because it's fun. It's more of a headcanon, really, leading to some misinformation that felt like a Mandela effect for people saying that there's actually proof in the books when there isn't. I haven't read the novels yet, so feel free to correct me in the comments. The thing is, this also goes for every other animatronic. There is some variation of people saying that Bonnie went down fighting, Foxy ran away, Freddy was hiding, and Chica was screaming, and like, there is very little proof to go with that. I'm pretty sure as a kid, if you see a man in a yellow rabbit chasing you with a knife, you're probably going to run, hide, fight, and then scream in that order, realistically. But people on TikTok seem to be convinced that Bonnie threw hands and managed to break William Afton's jaw, which is wild, especially because he was wearing the suit. And it's hard to blame people for believing this, and I think that's for a couple of reasons. For one, there are hardly any character descriptions for animatronics. What I mean by this is that, like, personality traits, if that makes sense. Obviously there are some that are implied, like with William Afton being this cold, calculating figure and a neglectful parent, born out of the context clues of the confirmed story plots. But for other characters, it's a bit more difficult. It's hard to remember that these animatronics are kids, especially after a while playing the game or even theorizing. They start to become as robotic as the characters they possessed. Like, they are still kids with their own personalities. It makes sense for people to want to give them characters and character traits because most of what we know for sure is about what happened to them as opposed to what they think about it. For being a big part of the game, it would be hard to describe them beyond their physical features, but the other reason for people believing this is due to people claiming headcanons as fact. I noticed this when it first blew up on TikTok, but when I started researching for this video, quite a few people were bothered by how much traction it got for relying on so little. Enough people know that it really is just a fun interpretation and it isn't canon, but a shocking amount just accepted it as fact. I like these ideas to an extent, I'll clarify here in a bit, but I do agree that it humanizes the characters in the game. Also, it's just funny for Bonnie, but the reason I put it on the list, other than people not liking it, is because it really isn't a theory. I know FNAF lore is hard to decipher, but there has to be a line where you can't just make stuff up and force it to make sense. You could do that with anything. Like I could say, well actually the girl who possessed Chica had a pet rabbit that possessed the cupcake, which would explain why it's also alive. Like you can't just make silly headcanons as fact. And since it got so popular, it sparked some controversy with people arguing over the evidence in Silver Eyes. I want to clarify too, this theory or some variation of it existed way back, even before TikTok. It only resurfaced due to TikTok around the movie's release, which is where I heard it from. I like the intent behind it, but not so much the theory. I can see why people don't like it. I give this theory 1 Freddy Fazbear's. Come on TikTok, do better. Before we do get to our special guest, I want to quickly cover a theory that's sort of in the same train of thought as the last one, which is that actually Foxy in FNAF 1 is a good guy, and that when he jump scares you, he's actually just checking in on you. Bro, running up like that is not how you check in on somebody. Again, this is an older theory. I guess people were just starving for content in the early days. But how do you see this as being friendly? This is ridiculous, almost to the point of being funny, except no one's laughing. I give it half of Freddy Fazbear's. For this video, I had to do some research, and that meant reaching out to Five Nights at Freddy's YouTubers and Theorist. I am new to the FNAF lore scene, and I wanted to get the best and most reliable information for people who have been making videos and theories for a while now. You might know him from solving the one retcon in FNAF. Introducing WitheredCircle. Can you give a quick summary for the people who don't know what Frights Fiction is, just real quick?
Okay, so basically Frights Fiction is the theory that the Fazbear Frights, specifically Fazbear Frights, that those series of books those novellas are all written in-universe by Fazbear Entertainment. So it's not that they happen in-universe, it's that Fazbear Entertainment, the company, wrote those books to spread misinformation in-universe. It's weird.
I know you covered a lot more in depth in your debunk video. What do you think was the biggest evidence against the theory?
So the thing about Fried's fiction is that there's like no evidence for it, which means there's also no evidence against it. But the biggest point against Fried's fiction, in my opinion, is that there's no evidence for Fried's fiction, and it kind of goes against what Help Wanted's twist was trying to do when it introduced the in-universe video games.
Well, what do you think made the theory controversial? Would you even say it's a controversial theory?
It's been around for a while. I know that Cyrus Squawks made a video on it like a year and a half ago, but it's been around before that for years. And it's always been controversial because not many people believe it outside of Fnaf YouTube, which I find very interesting. I don't know why, but Fnaf YouTube in particular seems to be very attracted to the theory. A lot of people seem to believe it for some reason, which is why this video got a lot of negative attention in the comments, to put it lightly.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that. Is there anything you feel like people missed in the video that you want to like clarify or anything?
I mean, I don't know. I sort of just put it all there, but I feel like I have to make it extra clear again that just because I don't have direct evidence to, like, so in the title I'm like, oh, I debunked it, which
Right.
that video was not a debunk video. It's like my thoughts on it and why I think it's not true. You don't need evidence against it for something to not be true. And I think it's the fact that there's no evidence for Fried's fiction that is its main problem. And I wanted to make that extra clear.
What prompted you to like make the video?
So I've been thinking about it for a while, and I had it like planned for a while. But I recently, for that retcon video that you brought up, I did a collab with Gibby's Horror Homestead, and he is a pretty strong believer in Fried's fiction. And so I had that script like in the back burner for a while, but kind of because of that, it motivated me to get it done that particular week.
You did say that it's popular on Fnaf YouTube, but not necessarily outside of it. Why do you think that? I didn't know that. What do you think that is?
This is like interesting because the main three spheres, I feel like, is like Fnaf YouTube, Fnaf Twitter, and Fnaf Reddit.
Right.
Fnaf YouTube goes with whatever the most popular people are saying. Fnaf Reddit is kind of like schizo theories. And Fnaf Twitter just listen to their own thing and never listen to anyone else. So they all have like their own dynamic, and I find it really funny. And I feel like with Gibby kind of strongly promoting Fried's fiction and the idea circulating with Cyrus Squawks, like I brought up earlier, people sort of just latched onto it for some reason. And I haven't seen Reddit or Twitter hold on to that idea so strongly. I don't know why. I can't tell you why, but it's definitely something worth thinking about.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was, because I only just recently heard about this theory. Honestly, I'm only now getting into the lore space. Would you say that that's a good thing that the Fnaf YouTube only covers popular stuff, or is it just how it goes?
I don't know. It's kind of complicated. I wish Fnaf YouTube became less like focused on specific people and more open to things in general and to their own ideas. I feel like a lot of people don't critically think as much as on other Fnaf theorizing spaces. But, you know, I can't change anything about that, so it's okay.
Right. Do you think that YouTube is what's keeping it alive? Like Fnaf YouTube, that theory space is keeping this theory alive? Is it not as popular on other platforms like you mentioned?
I mean, on Twitter, I don't think I have never encountered anyone who believes it. Reddit, some people. I think it's YouTube that's keeping it alive. Specifically Gibby. Gibby's definitely been doing a lot of work pushing this theory out there. No hate to Gibby, by the way. Gibby's really cool. Just the theory that we disagree with, and that's fine. Like I said.
Yeah, I think it's fine to like hate on the theories, not just the people themselves. It keeps it all friendly. Thank you so much for like taking the time out of your day. Do you want to plug your stuff, where can people find your videos and your channels and whatnot? Sure.
Channels WitheredCircle. I put videos there like every week for now, and yeah, I do Fnaf theories, and that's pretty much where you can find me in everything I do.
If you have your own theory that you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. Everyone has their favorites, or in this case, least favorite. It might even be this next one. So make sure to subscribe and comment your least favorite Fnaf theory. Now for our last theory, it's actually a very infamous one a lot of people hate. Probably the most hated theory, to the point where even Scott was confused: the dream theory. The dream theory exists in every TV show, game, book, comic, whatever, But there's an annoying amount of details that people use as evidence for this FNAF theory. The dreamer in this case is the crying child, and we actually talked about something similar in the last video with FNAF World Story. But the difference is that other theory is about the crying child coming to terms with passing on, and this one is just lazy. This theory claims that the first 4 games are all part of the crying child's dreams, and that the other kids the child meets are the animatronics in this dream. Like this one girl being Chica because the arms are out. People also have his brother jump scaring him with the Foxy mask to explain the Foxy jump scares. Even the phone and the fan in the first game are explained by being in his room in the FNAF 4. This theory is basically saying that everything is all just a dream because the crying child is in a coma. Now, this part is pretty common. People do believe that FNAF 4 we play as a child who is in the hospital, with details like the IV bag on the side of the bed. But the difference is that the dream theory stops there entirely and everything else is in his head. This is incredibly reductive to the whole narrative, and a lot of people, including myself, dislike this theory for a few reasons. For one, it is debunked, and there's even a joke about it in the movie. Scott confirmed that nobody has solved the story of FNAF 4, even after MatPat came out with this dream theory, which is pretty definitive. The reason I think people hate this theory is because dream theories are very unsatisfying narratively. You have an interesting premise, there's clues that lead to a bigger story, but then it suddenly doesn't matter because any inconsistencies are all just part of a dream where things don't have to make sense. It removes the horror aspect entirely because you wake up from the nightmares eventually. It removes character motivation too because all the characters are just figments of your imagination. And by doing so, it removes the plot. Instead, it's just, oh, this child had an accident and that's basically it. And it's not like there's no evidence for it, it just makes a horrible story, reducing the stakes and events to nothing mattering. I do like how instead of people taking FNAF 4 at face value, they have used details like the hospital room implications to assist in larger timelines, and even saying the nightmare animatronics aren't real. But to take it too many steps forward is lazy writing. It removes the nuance in the story to have it all be made up, and because of this, it is one of the most hated theories, and maybe one of the more popular dream theories. Like I mentioned before, dream theories aren't exactly uncommon, such as The Walking Dead all just being Rick in a coma imagining his doctors and nurses as other survivors, or even Breaking Bad being the students making up Mr. White's backstory or what he does outside of school. But those other theories are generally left off, and whether due to the evidence in Five Nights at Freddy's or the online theory space, this one has more credibility than those other ones. But it's still bad. 2 Freddy Fazbears. It's still quite a bit different than the one we covered in the last video, but if you want to learn more about that one on FNAF World, check it out. And I do want to hear what you guys think. If you have a theory that you really hate or is really fun bad, make sure to comment. Maybe I'll make a part 2 with the theories if there's enough of them. Again, special thanks to WitheredCircle for being in the video. He actually made a video going more in depth on Fright's fiction. Go support him and check his stuff out. If you like this video, then you'll definitely like his videos. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you're a bit less bored.